Okay guys, here's the right answers. I'm sorry I didn't record these, but I will point out try to say a few things that I said in class. One, remember that this is the important stuff, right? If you screw up these, it's just screwing up your calculator. We'll fix that later. I will accept either of the green or blue answers. These are the volumes. A couple of people did surface area, so I put that answer out there for them. I'll let that sit for a minute. This is where it starts to get difficult. Remember, I wrote this out in words because I had a rectangular prism and I added this cylinder because I cut out a hole, and then I subtracted the two circles because they were two holes. So yeah, we had the prism plus the cylinder because that's new surface, and then I subtracted the two circles because that made a hole, so they had to be subtracted. And then volume, it's just subtraction. You had the big block and then you drilled the hole out, so you had the rectangular prism and you took out the cylinder. This one's a really hard question as well. So what I did was I had the large cone surface area, and that's going to show up in a second, but it's frozen as usual. Large cone surface area, which I'm going to draw with the blue arrow. So that's what I started with. But then I cut off, so I subtracted the small cone, which I'll do in green. The small cone surface area, which I'll do in green. But you'll notice that small cone surface area is frozen computer. That small cone surface area is pi r squared plus pi r slant. That's the circle right here, and this is the cone part. Well, the only part that's gone is the cone part. I did add that circle in right there. So that's why in my formula, there's the circle, and there's subtracting out the cone part. And then volume, it's just blue cone minus green cone. So this cylinder is cut in half, so for surface area, I wrote out the whole surface area, divided by 2, canceled the 2's, so that covers the cylinder. But when I cut it in half, I created this new triangle, new rectangle, which I have right there. So I added it all up. And then volume, it's just cutting in half. And hemispheres, we just followed the formulas. So you just fill them in and do it. And this one, it's the volume of a cylinder plus the volume of a hemisphere. Cylinder, hemisphere. Remember, 2 over 3 is the same as 4 pi r cubed over 6. They're the same thing. Okay? Now, I'm going to pause now, and then when I go over the first couple of questions that are on the gummy bear thing, we'll record them too. What shape is that? It is not a rectangular prism, but it is a prism, yes? Does everybody agree? Why do we know that it's a prism? Because it starts with this yellow shape, and that yellow shape repeats that way, doesn't it? What are we looking for? The volume or the surface area of this swimming pool? Are we filling it up or are we painting it? Filling it up. So are we doing volume or surface area? Volume. So what is the volume of every single prism in the universe? Area of the base times the height. I can't say LWH, Jake, because this is not a rectangular prism. The volume of every prism is the area of the base times the height. Now, as Aidan pointed out quite intelligently a few days ago, the base is not the bottom. What is the base? The foundation or the repeated shape, yes? What shape here is repeating? This shape, yes? Which means that shape is the base. What is the height? The height is 6 because, as Aidan pointed out, the height is the distance between the foundation shape and where it ends. So there is the height. So if I know the area of the base, I can find the volume, can't I? That base is this shape, right? I drew it badly on purpose because you have to think. If this is 1 and this is 8, then how far is this part right here? 7. So if I draw it better, I get 1, 15, and 7, correct? What is the area of this part of the base? How do I find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. What's the length and what's the width? Doesn't matter. So what's the answer? 15. Excellent. How do I find the area of a triangle? No. Base times height divided by 2. 7 times 15 is 105 divided by 2 is 52.5. What do I do with those two areas? Add them to get 67.5. Is that the area of the base? Where does it go? There. So I multiply by 6 to get 405 meters cubed. Is that the answer to the question? No. Why? I need to figure 85% because I am not filling the pool to the brim. So first thing I got to do is multiply that by 0.85. And that gets me 344.25 meters cubed. Now I'm going to stop for a second. There is no reason at all for this up to here to have been so confusing that people are leaving their sheet blank. Is there? Because this question is exactly the same. This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the class. If you can do 6 plus 2, you can do 12 plus 7. Right? So unless you were lying to me, if you were able to do all this, any of these questions from before, unless you were lying, this question to here should have been doable by all of you. Yes? Because what was complicated? Did I obfuscate the situation by drawing it badly? Did I say anywhere on this sheet that you couldn't fix the drawing? When I drew that there, did any of you not see, oh my God, that's a triangle and a rectangle? Do you know how to find the area of a rectangle? Do you know how to find the area of a triangle? Do you know that every single prism is area of the base times height? Have we talked to death about the base not being the bottom, that it's the repeated shape? Have we talked to death about the height being the distance between the two edges? At some point, I have to stop talking, don't I? And you have to take on some responsibility. Because the way we are going right now, I could spend the entire year on surface area, apparently. Will that serve you in very good stead when you go into the 11th grade, to have spent the entire year on surface area? Yes or no? No. Do you understand what I am saying? I know you would all love it if I could go slower. And if I had unlimited time, if I had you all day, yes, that would be the case. But I cannot. I have to trust that by the 20th time we talk about what the area of a base is, that you understand it. Especially when I ask every time, all those 20 times I show you. Okay? And once again, I remind you, I never leave this room at lunch. I was here all day at lunch again today, all by myself. I put up videos. Know the maximum amount of video views I've gotten from this class? 3. Yes, that is one of you. If you don't get it here, you must take some initiative and figure it out. If you can't learn it from me, you know what we're doing. Google it. Surface area of a prism. Help. You will get 13 million pages. Do you think one of those 13 million people might be able to explain it in a better way than me? Probably. There's 13 million of them. What you will find is they often explain it exactly the same way I do. But if you do find somebody online who explains things better than me, 2 things. 1, listen to them. And 2, tell me where you found it so I can go to their website and steal what they're doing. Because I'm out of ways to show you guys. I draw pictures, we build things, I ask, you talk. You guys figured it out. It was you guys that gave me the base being the repeated shape and the height being the distance between the two. Right? You got to do some stuff on your own. And you got to be willing to be wrong. And when you're wrong, you got to be willing to figure out where you went wrong. That's why I'm showing you this stuff, right? It's not enough to say, oh, I didn't get that answer. Okay? When you go to get your driving license, you're going to get a question or 2 wrong, aren't you? Are you going to just say, oh, screw it, I failed the L, I'm never going to drive? How many of you are planning to do that? How many of you are planning to take your road test, possibly fail it? I failed my first time. Do I drive now? Yeah, because I went home and I learned how to do what I did wrong. You don't give up. Okay? So, we got to here. Now, the question was how long it's going to take. Well, if I fill 1.8 meters per hour, and I need to fill that many meters, what math do I have to do? Divide by 1.8 to get 191.25 hours. And obviously, we're going to need to talk about the rest of this tomorrow. So we will see you tomorrow.